why I got Bigfoot in this Pokeball.
Bigfoot is your enemy?
Well, I doubt he's a fan. I stuffed him into a ball. I mess with him all the time. These Vikings don't have real tight bylaws, Morty. This is basic.
Rick and Morty Season 7 exists at a strange crossroads for the series, arriving at a moment when the show is more self-aware than ever about its own legacy, expectations, and chaos. This chapter does not try to reset the universe or pretend the past never happened. Instead, it leans into the idea that nothing in this multiverse ever truly disappears. Every choice, every adventure, and every version of Rick and Morty leaves a mark somewhere. Season 7 feels like a continuation that understands its history, embraces its contradictions, and pushes forward with the confidence of a story that knows it can survive. Reinvention. The world of Rick and Morty has always been defined by infinite possibilities. But this season emphasizes consequences more strongly than before. The multiverse is still vast, absurd, and terrifying, yet the characters are no longer able to shrug off emotional damage as easily. Rick remains the smartest man in every room, but his intelligence feels heavier now, like a burden he cannot escape. Morty, on the other hand, continues evolving from a frightened sidekick into someone who understands the cost of following Rick into endless chaos. Their relationship remains the emotional engine of the story, fueled by dependency, resentment, loyalty, and a twisted form of love. Rick's arc in Season 7 centers on control and identity. He has spent lifetimes believing that intelligence grants freedom, yet this season quietly questions whether his brilliance has actually trapped him. His actions suggest someone who is tired of running but incapable of stopping. He still masks pain with sarcasm and cruelty, but cracks appear more frequently, revealing moments of reflection and regret. These glimpses do not soften Rick into a hero, but they add layers that make his behavior feel increasingly intentional rather than random. Morty's development continues to be one of the most compelling aspects of the season. He is no longer just reacting to danger. He actively questions Rick's decisions and at times makes his own morally complex choices. Morty's exposure to countless realities has stripped away innocence, replacing it with cautious awareness. He understands that survival in the multiverse often requires compromise, and this knowledge creates internal conflict. Morty wants normalcy, but he knows too much to fully return to it, making his struggle deeply human despite the absurd setting. The family dynamic remains central, with each member reflecting a different response to chaos. Summer continues to assert herself as someone who refuses to be sidelined, often matching Rick's ruthlessness when necessary. Her confidence and adaptability show how exposure to the multiverse can empower rather than break someone. Beth's storyline explores identity from a more grounded perspective, questioning whether fulfillment comes from stability or freedom. Her relationship with Rick remains strained, defined by abandonment, resentment, and unspoken understanding. Jerry, often dismissed as weak, unexpectedly represents emotional honesty, serving as a reminder of what life looks like without godlike intelligence. Season 7 plays with the idea that the multiverse itself may be changing. Rather than focusing solely on new dimensions, the story suggests that repetition has consequences. Some realities feel exhausted, fractured by too many versions of the same conflicts playing out endlessly. This concept introduces a subtle sense of decay beneath the humor, implying that infinite possibility does not guarantee infinite sustainability. The universe may be vast, but even infinity can feel claustrophobic when nothing truly changes. The humor remains sharp, surreal, and often deliberately uncomfortable. Season 7 continues the tradition of blending high-concept science fiction with crude, absurd comedy, but there is a noticeable confidence in when to pull back. Jokes are still fast and relentless, yet quieter moments are allowed to breathe. These pauses give emotional weight to scenes that might otherwise be overshadowed by chaos, reinforcing the idea that comedy and introspection can coexist without canceling each other out. This season also leans heavily into meta-commentary, not as a gimmick but as a thematic tool. Rick and Morty has always been aware that it is a show, but Season 7 uses this awareness to explore creative exhaustion, audience expectations, and the fear of becoming repetitive. These ideas are woven into the narrative through story concepts rather than direct commentary, allowing viewers to engage with them without feeling lectured. The result is a season that feels reflective without losing its irreverence. Antagonists in Season 7 are less defined by sheer power and more by ideology. Rather than focusing on villains who want domination, the conflicts often arise from characters who interpret reality differently. Some believe the multiverse should be controlled, others think it should collapse, and some simply want to escape it entirely. These opposing philosophies create tension that feels more personal and unsettling than traditional threats, emphasizing that danger does not always come from strength, but from belief. Technology remains a defining element, but it is treated with more caution. Rick's inventions no longer feel like easy solutions. They often create new problems or reveal unintended consequences. This shift reinforces the theme that intelligence without restraint can be destructive. The season suggests that progress without reflection leads to instability, mirroring real-world anxieties beneath the science fiction surface. Emotionally, Season 7 is more introspective than chaotic, though it never abandons its roots. Episodes frequently end not with triumph, but with uneasy resolution. Characters survive, but they are rarely unchanged. This approach strengthens the idea that adventures are not disposable, even in a universe where everything can theoretically be reset. Memory becomes a form of permanence, shaping identity regardless of how many timelines exist. The pacing of the season balances standalone adventures with overarching emotional threads. Individual episodes still deliver wild concepts and unexpected twists, but there is a growing sense that everything contributes to a larger emotional journey. This structure allows new viewers to enjoy the absurdity while rewarding longtime fans with deeper connections and callbacks that feel earned rather than indulgent. Rick and Morty Season 7 also explores the fear of stagnation. Characters confront the possibility that infinite adventure might no longer be enough to feel alive. This existential dread is not presented as despair, but as a question: what comes after knowing everything? The show does not offer clear answers, instead inviting viewers to sit with the discomfort of uncertainty. The visual style remains energetic and expressive, using exaggerated designs to reinforce emotional states. Worlds feel unstable, creatures feel intentionally unsettling, and environments often reflect the psychological tension of the characters within them. This visual language enhances the storytelling, turning settings into extensions of character rather than mere backdrops. One of the season's strengths lies in its willingness to let characters fail without immediately undoing those failures. Mistakes linger, relationships strain, and trust erodes. This choice adds realism to a world defined by absurdity, reminding viewers that emotional damage does not disappear simply because a portal can take you somewhere else. Season 7 ultimately feels like a statement about endurance. The show acknowledges change without surrendering identity. It proves that evolution does not require abandoning what made it compelling in the first place. Instead, growth comes from understanding why those elements mattered and how they can be reshaped. By the end, Rick and Morty Season 7 does not attempt to redefine the series completely, nor does it rely solely on nostalgia. It stands as a bridge between chaos and contemplation, balancing humor with consequence. The multiverse remains infinite, dangerous, and hilarious, but the characters moving through it feel more aware of what they stand to lose. This chapter reinforces the idea that intelligence, freedom, and infinite possibility do not guarantee happiness. Meaning must be chosen, not discovered, even in a universe where everything exists somewhere. Rick and Morty Season 7 embraces that paradox, delivering a story that is as uncomfortable as it is entertaining. In the larger scope of the series, this season feels like a moment of quiet recalibration. It does not close doors or provide final answers, but it sharpens the questions. Who are Rick and Morty when the jokes fade? What remains when the universe stops being a distraction? These questions linger long after the episode's end, giving Season 7 a lasting emotional presence. Rick and Morty has always thrived on chaos, but Season 7 proves that chaos becomes more powerful when it has something to push against. By grounding its madness in emotional truth, the season ensures that the series continues to evolve without losing its soul. It remains unpredictable, provocative, and deeply aware of its own absurdity, making this chapter not just another run of episodes, but a meaningful continuation of a story that refuses to stand still.